Hi, Emma. So today what we're going to be doing is doing a little bit of a review of our surface area activity that we did on Friday with the cereal boxes. So we're just going to go over kind of how you find surface area when you have a shape, because we can't always cut up our shape and do all the measuring. So we're just going to review how to find one on paper with a calculator. So we're going to go over one together, and then you'll do some practice ones independently and get those submitted into Schoology for me at the end of the period. All right, so just to review, so to find the surface area of a rectangular prism, you're going to start by just finding the area of each side. So just like we did with our cereal boxes on Friday, you're going to find the area of each side of your rectangular prism. And then, so that would be 6 sides, right? You find the area of each rectangle on the prism. And then for step 2, you'll just add all of those sides together, all of those areas together. So now today when we practice, what we're going to do is find the side, the area of 3 sides, add those together, and multiply by 2. So let me show you what I mean. Okay, so we'll try this one together here. So the first thing that I see are 3, actually 6, but I'm going to look at 3 different rectangles. So let's first start with our bottom rectangle here. So it goes here, here, and here. So this is our bottom rectangle, right? And it's the same rectangle as our top rectangle. And the best part about doing surface area on Notability is that you're able to really kind of color in the parts, and then you can erase it after each time to help you identify all 3 sides. Okay, so my bottom rectangle is the same as my top rectangle, and so I'm going to figure out what is the area of this bottom rectangle. Well, remember, in order to find area of any rectangle is always going to be the length times the width. So I've got a length of 3, so I've got 3, and then a width of 2. And it doesn't matter which order, if you identified the 2 as the length and the 3 as the width, it doesn't matter, because it's that commutative property of multiplication, where it doesn't matter which order we multiply in, we'll still get the same outcome. Okay, so 3 times 2, that's going to give me 6, and then I have to multiply it by 2 because I have a top one that is the same as well, right? This top rectangle is the same as that bottom rectangle. So 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, so that's side 1. So I'm going to erase this and erase this. And now I've got my next side. So let's find our next side. I'm going to do the side of this rectangular prism, which is right here. And it's this guy. And I'm just going to trace it and kind of fill it in to make it a little bit easier to see. So I have that side and this side right here are matching rectangles, right? My right and left side of my rectangle. So when I look at this right and left side, this bottom measurement is 2. So it's 2, and the other measurement of that rectangle, maybe the width, is 5. So I have 2 times 5 for that side rectangle. So 2 times 5 gives me an area of 10. So the one rectangle is 10, and then I'm going to multiply that by 2 because there is a second rectangle that is the same size. So 10 times 2 is 20. All right, so now I have my side, my right and left side, and I have my top and bottom of my rectangle figured out. So now the only sides that I have left of my rectangular prism to figure out here are the front and the back. So now I've got this guy right here, the front of my rectangle. I'm going to color him in and make that a little bit easier to see. And he's going to be the same as that back rectangle. And so part of it gets kind of cut off in this 3D picture, right? But that's the back rectangle, and I think that actually made it, for my eyes, a little bit harder to tell what the heck that is. So I'm going to actually just erase that. So it made it a little harder. They all kind of blended together then. But hopefully you can kind of see this front part, right? This front rectangle. So if I look at this measurement, now I have a 3 that goes across the bottom. So there's my length. And then up here, what is the measurement of this long side? Now this one doesn't have a number right next to it. However, I can see that this 5 right back here, where the 5 is the length of that identical side. So that means that this one is also 5. All right, so I've got 3 times 5. All right, so 3 times 5 is giving me 15, and because the front and the back are identical, I multiply it by 2 because there are 2 of those sides. 15 times 2 is 30. Okay, so we did step 1. We found the side of, or the area of each side of our rectangular prism, and we multiplied each one by 2 because there are 2 identical sides. Whenever you have a rectangular prism, there's always 2 identical sides. And so now we have our total areas of all of the rectangular prisms that make all of the rectangular sides that make up this rectangular prism. So now I'm just simply going to add these 3 numbers together. So I have 12 plus 20 plus 30. So I'm going to add all of those sides up. So 2 plus 0 is 2, 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 1 is 6. So my final answer is 62 centimeters squared. So remember, we put the square there. We put this little 2 right here because it's area, right? These are square centimeters because they're taking up each little square. If we were to break all of these centimeters into 1 centimeter squares, we would have 62 1 centimeter squares throughout this entire rectangle. All right, so that is our final answer. Okay, let's do one more together. And these are going to be the problems that you're going to try solving on your own. And we're going to do one of these together. Now, what I've also done, it says practice finding the surface area with the following problems. The answers are listed on the last page so that you can make sure that you're solving correctly. But make sure to show all work, okay? Because obviously, what I don't want you to do is just go to our last page, and we'll go there in just a second. But I don't want you to go to that last page and find all of your answers and then just write those in. Okay, we want to practice showing the work because there is a lot of work to show. And it's really just multiplying and adding. It's simple work, but we do want to practice showing that work. And then we'll check our answers. All right, so I'm going to do one more with you, and then you'll work on your own. Okay, so let's look at our first side. Now we kind of have some different shading. We have the light gray, the darker gray, and then just the white rectangles. So I'm going to start with the dark gray rectangle first. And it helps me to outline where the numbers are. So right here, this one is a 9. And then it's multiplying times this side right here, which is a 3. So it's 9 times 3. And if I get out my calculator, and I can multiply 9 times 3, and I'm going to get 27. And because there are 2 sides, right, it's in the front and it's in the back, I'm going to multiply it by 2. So 27 times 2 is 54. All right. So I'm going to erase that so I don't get confused. And then I'm going to find my light gray rectangle. So my light gray rectangle has this side of 13 and the same height of 3. So it's 13 times 3 for that light gray rectangle. All right, so 13 times 3 is 39. And because there's one of those light gray rectangles in the front and one in the back, I multiply it by 2 because there are 2 of those. So 39 times 2 is 78. All right, I'm going to erase that so it doesn't confuse me. And now I have my top rectangle. So my top rectangle is going to have this side right here. And this one doesn't have a number, but it matches that bottom edge. So that means it's 13. So again, it's 13. And then this side right here, the adjacent side, the one right next to it, it doesn't have a measurement either, but the line below it means it's equal to that, so it's 9. All right, so it's 13 times 9 for that bottom rectangle. All right, so 13 times 9 is 117. So that's a lot bigger than the others, but that makes sense. It's a lot larger of a rectangle than those others. All right, so 13 times 9 is 117, and there are 2 of those, so I'm going to multiply it by 2 because there's one on the top and one on the bottom. And 117 times 2 will give me 234. Okay, so now I'm going to just add those 3 numbers together. So 54 plus 78 plus 234, and I'm going to figure out what that equals. So 54 plus 78 plus 234, and that's going to equal 366. So the surface area of this shape is 366 millimeters squared. All right, so you are going to continue on and you're going to find the surface area of the next 9 problems. So you've got, let's see, 8 more that are going to be like this with rectangular shapes, and then 1 word problem at the end. All right, but you're finding surface area of all. And then when you're finished, you can check your answers. All of the answers are listed on the very last page of your notes. And then go ahead and submit your completed work to Schoology. And that's it for today, Emma. All right, I'll talk with you a little bit later. Have a great day. Bye.